Hey y'all, it's Kasim with your daily Google News, and today we're going to be talking about Google's 3 strikes rule. So Google announced semi-recently that they're piloting a new strike system to address repeat policy violations. It's interesting because it's actually 4 strikes, because there's a warning first, which I don't know why that's not called strike 1. There's no warning in baseball. Here's what's interesting is I've seen a lot of noise in the Google sphere about how somehow this is a bad thing, and I don't get it. So I'd love somebody to inform me what I'm missing, because I actually don't think this is Google being any more aggressive than they've already been. I do think that Google's policy violation team has been pretty heavy-handed when it comes to some of this stuff, and probably, it's not a needless approach on Google's end. I think when people are doing things that, if you look at what Google's outlining here, it's not, deceptive behavior of products such as creation of false documents, hacking services, spyware, tobacco, drugs, weapons. Like, this is all stuff that we know we can't do or shouldn't do. So I'm not quite sure why some of the other folks, some of my contemporaries, have decided that this is, and this also isn't me lobbing a grenade, by the way. I'm actually, I've done my best to kind of Google it, and I just see people saying like, oh my goodness, here's Google again. And I'm, generally first on the Chicken Little camp, as you know. But in this particular instance, I just don't think there's anything to worry about. So if you've seen Google's 3-strike notification, my opinion is, if you care what I think, that this isn't the worst thing we have to contend with. As a matter of fact, it feels like they're being pretty lenient. If you go 4 times, if you do one of these things, you can basically get away with it 3 times, and then the 4th you're out. And the penalties aren't super strict. Temporary hold for 3 days. Okay. Temporary hold for 7 days. Probably kills the campaign. You're now back and learning more often than not. Last and final notice, and then account suspension. What's funny is your very first penalty is no penalties beyond the removal of the relevant ads, which, again, sort of makes sense. Where this does suck is, I've got a client, well, they're not a client any longer. They were more of a consulting client that we referred off to another agency, but they do a tobacco replacement product that, for whatever reason, Google had just continued to assume was tobacco. And in that particular instance, if you don't have the opportunity for manual review, then I could see this really sucking. But I know you do have that opportunity, and Google, interestingly, has actually done pretty well, I think, in the appeals department. I know it takes some time, but you can get an appeal pushed through. Interesting. I actually didn't click on this little article. Maybe I should have. It's just Google's appeals process. So I'll include a link to this in the description of this video if you want to see it. This was just a couple of days ago. I wasn't going to shoot a video on it because I honestly thought like, oh, well, this is non-news. But I have seen enough people, posting, tweeting, whatever, like, oh my goodness, that I just felt like I needed to throw my hat in the ring and, whatever. So if you feel differently, or if you know something I don't, I'd be very interested in being corrected or educated. You'd be giving me a gift and doing me a favor. I shoot a video every day, so like, comment, subscribe. I'm also the new co-host of Perpetual Traffic, which I'll also include a link of that in the description. So if you want to tune in, Perpetual Traffic goes live every Tuesday, everywhere podcasts can be heard. And we do something called Perpetual Fridays. It's a live YouTube Q&A with me and the co-host, the other co-host, the main host, Ralph Burns of Tier 11, and we answer your questions and tell stories, and that's about it, really. But I'd love to see you there, and appreciate all y'all who like, comment, subscribe, and that's all I got. I'll see you tomorrow.